Above the rig's squat rectangular housing, the blades of the nearest turbine turned slowly in the washed-out sky. All around, to every horizon, the blades of the wind farm turned. The line spun slowly. 10 turns one way, then a pause, then 10 turns back. The boy lay down on his stomach, reached out and held the netting until it stilled. The fields stretched out around him, row after row of turbines, like strange crops. From a distance they all looked identical, but up close, each tower was marked with dark blooms and scabs of rust. There were seepages of oil and grease creeping downward, streaks of salt corrosion reaching up, forming intricate patterns of stalactites and stalagmites. Some of the turbines had slumped down at an angle, their foundations crumbling like silt. Some had damaged blades, and threw their remaining limbs around in jolting arcs. Others were missing their blades and nacelle entirely, leaving only the towers standing, like fingerposts marking the steady progression of malfunction and storm. He tried to feel his way down to where his hook was caught. The net had floats and some kind of weights threaded through it, and it was twisted up with what could have been strips of weed, but the boy knew were actually sheets of black plastic. He'd been finding them all over the farm recently. He worked his hand in and found the hook, then took a knife out of his pocket and began to cut away at the netting, strand by strand, until it slumped down into the water, leaving just the hook and the object it was stuck in. It was a boot. Black, company issue, the same as the boy's, except where his were dark and supple from regular cleaning and waterproofing. This one was salt-stiffened, bleached and cracked, making it look like it was cut from some kind of rough stone. He reached out slowly, tilted it, and looked inside. The laces had come undone, and it was empty, which was a relief. He'd found a boot once before, floating through the farm, still laced up tight. When was that? It had been down in the south fields. The boot had been brown, painted at the toe. The leather and its contents had been scratched and picked apart. There must have been birds around then. And fish. The boy put the knife away in his pocket and took out a battered digital watch. It was missing its strap and one button, and when he touched the display, bubbles of moisture spread inside the casing. It read 5:15. He looked up at the sky and saw perhaps a paler patch of cloud in the west. When he closed his eyes, the same patch appeared on the backs of his eyelids. The wind dragged across the rig. Sometimes it sounded thin and hollow. Sometimes it thudded as if it were a solid wall, impossible to move past. The line rocked. The turbines groaned and thrummed. The boy held the boot still. The sole was smooth and washed clean, the sea already cleaning things up, making things anonymous. "Where have you come from?" he said. His voice was barely audible above the wind and the blades, which was probably for the best because it was a stupid question. And he was talking to a boot. The currents that came through the farm swept in from the oceans and cycled round the whole North Sea, hauling waste and cast-offs out from every coastline. Some days there would be swathes of shining fluid that coated the surface of the water. Other days, shoals of plastic bags and bottles would rise from the depths like bulbous, light-seeking creatures. The boy would find tidal barrages and bleached clothing, the brittle shells of electrical appliances. He'd seen furniture and timbers tangled together so they looked like makeshift rafts. And once, a whole house, torn loose from its moorings drifting through the farm, slumped and tilting on its flotation tanks. Days, months, and seasons passed through untethered and indistinct among the flotsam. Sometimes it felt colder, and there were more storms.